Welcome to Studio 23 Nashville with your hosts, Jennifer Herron and Bryan Cumming. Today's special guest, Beth Sass.
Hello, welcome to Studio 23 Nashville. I am Bryan Cumming, your host, without our co-host Jennifer Herron. She's not with us today, but we do have a very special guest, a singer, songwriter, an educator, a Casio music gear enthusiast. I want you to meet Beth Sass. Hello, Beth.
Hi, Bryan.
I'm so glad you could be here tonight.
Me too.
And I'm glad to hear you play a nice grand piano, and I'm glad to hear you play the Casio. Is it the PS5X?
PX5S, it is.
PX5S.
It is.
I can get my X's and S's messed up. Okay. Well, we got a lot to talk about. I
Yes.
know you're from Boston mostly. You
Yes.
went to Berklee School of
Yes.
Music. Do you want to talk about your musical inspiration as you first got turned on to music and what direction you went?
High school, even earlier than high school. Carole King, she changed the life of a lot of female singer, songwriter, pianist, kids. Like, we had a person doing it already and making records and writing amazing songs. So I came of age singing and playing. And then I had piano teachers who noticed that I sang and played, but now that I'm a teacher, I know that that's rare. And nobody had to show me how to sing and play. So when I saw her and felt her and heard her music, Carole King's that is, I knew that it was like a art form that made sense to me. So I went to Berklee. I ended up at Berklee. I passed through a year of normal big college, but I got to Berklee, and there wasn't a lot of pop music there.
Yeah.
It was very jazz.
Yeah.
So I studied classical composition and classical piano and jazz piano and all kinds of things, but I was really excited to stumble on a very small up-and-coming pop music department at Berklee. I was one of the first people. And I was able to get better at the whole combination of singing and playing and find the other enthusiasts of Carole King or Laura Nyro.
But you wanted to write on your own, too.
I already did. I had been writing, and
Yeah.
I'd been in an act in Boston, had a couple of different duos that had recorded, and I was already a writer. And I was already capturing moments that I couldn't really describe except to sing about them, and I was already living through the uncomfortableness of emotions and then the relief of being able to capture them in a song.
That is something. Well, you are a musician also, besides being a songwriter.
Yeah.
Right? Well, do you find that those are separate, processes in your brain? Writing a song and an emotion that you so explicitly say, versus the technicalities, especially having studied composition and jazz and all these other...
I didn't think that there was a difference between any of it, actually, until I moved here. When I first moved here, everybody wanted to know, are you singing, are you playing, or are you writing? And it wasn't until then that I really did kind of feel like they were sort of different. But I think that they're, like an athlete, they're sort of like cross-training. And they all require attention. The lyricists in us require editing and focusing and thinking about what we want to say, and the pianists in us require chord knowledge or sound palettes. And the singer requires the fitness of the voice and what you want to sound like and how you're going to hit that note. So I think it's like a complex machine, and all the parts work together.
Yeah, and so it really was coming to Nashville, which was pretty much your songwriting aspirations that might have drawn you to Nashville?
Well, interestingly enough, very early in my career at Berklee, as I said, it was a very small department that was doing pop. They called it pop music. Singer-songwriter would have been, like a minute little fraction of what it was, but it was Billy Joel music as opposed to, Ella. Everybody at Berklee called it Ella. It wasn't Ella Fitzgerald, it was Ella. So the pop artists of the time that were singing and writing, I was already doing that. But when I found that baby little fledgling department at Berklee, they had songwriting classes. I was already writing songs. But it was great to break it down into a process, to get assignments and to say, how about writing in this style? How about writing in this style? So it organized us. And Berklee's, at this point is a huge industry leader, really, in pop music. But at the time, there was only a few people that were teaching it, talking about it, from the lyric perspective as well as from the music. And so my very first songwriting teacher said, you should send songs to Nashville. I'm like, I didn't really know why. I didn't feel that they were country per se, but that was at the time of Tanya Tucker, who was a crossover artist, and she was my age. She sounded similar to me at the time, and so I sent songs here straight from Berklee, and they were accepted, and I was flown here, and I was given a lot of attention, and I was signed to early form of single song contracts at Tree, before it was Sony Tree. And so, believe it or not, even just from that little tiny department at Berklee, I started being a writer here in town.
Yeah, without moving here.
I moved here. Yeah. I was very young. I hadn't finished Berklee, and I moved here, and kind of needed to go back and finish school and finish everything and come back. It took a few more moves here to really be here.
So, did you end up with that contract with Tree? Did you end up writing with some Tree writers?
At the time, I was more mentored by the publishers themselves, and so I co-wrote with the people, the individuals that had signed me, and I didn't really. I sort of edited with them. I didn't co-write. It wasn't until I was here permanently that I became matched up with writers and became parts of teams and really got into the complementary skills that make for a good song. The person and the people that I'd been involved with originally at Tree stayed with me. We stayed in touch, and when I was here finally permanently, I continued to work with them. And I was a writer at Maypop Music, which was for the band Alabama, and that's when I officially started being teamed with people. And that's when I figured out what I was good at and what I could get better at and what other people were good at. And it's always about the lyrics here.
One of the writers you've been talking about is Don Frimmer.
Yes.
Was he at Tree?
He was not at Tree, and he wasn't even at Maypop. But he was a person away from where I ended up. And he was the mentor of a lot of other writers I was writing with at the time. And he was suggested to me by another great lyricist I worked with, John Gerard. He passed away. And Don Frimmer was his mentor. And he said, you really need to go talk to this guy. And he was a sensitive, supportive, wise seer of people's musical energies. And Don. And
I remember seeing his name on the credits as I was watching the country charts. And then we've talked about him on this show with Tim Buppert. He wrote, I think Tim's hit was co-written with Don. And so the song that we're about to do is one that you co-wrote with Don.
We wrote a lot of songs. He was really good at helping me figure out what I was trying to say.
Well, I think it was Tim Buppert who said that Don really knew how to kind of add a whole new dimension to the story of the song. He just brought the human emotions and the human situation into it and just made you believe it. It became more
he had a theory of songwriting that he taught me.
I'd love to hear that.
His theory was that when you have an idea, in Nashville, you don't just start from scratch. You meet with people with a list of titles and a list of melodies, and you kind of mix and match and find out things. So before he and I would meet, I would have to come up with months worth of ideas that came straight from my life, and he would comb over them with me and we'd pick them. Once we picked an idea that he liked because I was describing something, he would say to me, we have to walk around that idea 360 degrees, and we have to look at that idea from every point of view, almost like it's a rock in the road and you're circling it, and we have to look at it from all those different perspectives, and then we're going to decide the best way to say what you're thinking. And in the beginning, that seemed overwhelming. Like, how can you tell the difference? Because he had foresight. He knew how it was going to feel and sound to the people that were then hearing it. So his gift was that he could do it simply, but he could predict how you were going to feel listening to that song. I was all about blurting out how I felt. He was about blurting out how you feel and creating a product out of it that was predictable because it was going to be understood, and it was relatively unique. Unique enough to be worthy of coming to life.
And that was his theory of
That was
songwriting?
his theory. So we would discuss a song before we would write it. How
That's
are we going to
really-
say this?
That's remarkable.
And I don't do anything but that now. I would never just sit down and write. I would ask myself, am I looking at this in the most animated, in a way that's going to work for the people that are going to listen to
Looking
it?
ahead toward the audience as part of the whole equation.
That's right. And what mood are we going to project? And how are we going to do that? And he didn't analyze it like that. It took him 1 second. But he would make us go through the paces while he processed. If we stand here and talk about that, it's going to be a little different if we stand here. So, yeah. So we have a bunch of songs that made it through that process. I've written many songs with him.
Well,
I'm gonna
Beth,
grab
one
some
thing that
water.
stands out for me, besides the fact that you co-wrote with Don Fremer, is that you suggested that I play harmonica on this song. And I've never played harmonica on this show, or really on stage, or just usually in.
Brian.
We won't talk about it anymore, but we will see how it fits in the song.
This is mournful, a little mournful. The song has got that, and it calls out for it. And you are the man of
Well, I think you said 1,000 instruments.
a man of 1,000
but
instruments.
not quite. All right, so let's see if it works.
Okay.
The one harmonica that I do own happens to be in the key of
G.
Too Many Doors.
Yes, this is Too Many Doors to Goodbye. So
All right.
we're going to start?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. This is a song about traveling and using the idea of, do we ever really follow through with a goodbye once we know how hard it's going to be? First one's not the worst one. That door's a piece of cake. By the second door you're wondering if the first one's a mistake. And by the third you're pretty sure you've gone far enough. The fourth door says don't enter, turn around. You're still in love. There's too many doors to goodbye. Is to walk out in my mind. Something in my heart got to my eyes. There's too many doors to goodbye. Taxi cabs don't matter. I slammed it pretty hard. Stepping through that airport door, I kind of came apart. And at the gate to Boston, I almost grabbed my phone. At the 747 door I stopped, I headed home. 'Cause there's too many doors my mind, something in my heart got to my eyes. There's too many doors to goodbye. There's too many doors to goodbye. There's too many doors. There's too many doors. There's way too many doors.
Hickman County, Tennessee. It feels a lot like home, or how home should feel. Come by, sit a spell. Soak in the goodness that inspired Minnie Pearl to write about this special place. Visit Hickman County, Tennessee's hidden treasure. All of us here at Studio 23 Nashville would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Visit Hickman County, the Hickman County Department of Tourism. World Music Nashville. Expedia Cruise Ship Centers, Nashville West. And the Law Office of Lavelle Glanton.
We're back with Studio 23 Nashville, singer, songwriter, musician extraordinaire, Beth Sass, with us today. It's a treat to be playing with you. While we were playing, and I know Carole King is a big influence, but somebody else that occurred to me that maybe you listened to that impressed me a lot, and a lot of people, is Laura Nyro.
Okay, yes. Well, Laura Nyro.
Can
what
you
can I say about
did she
Laura
inspire
Nyro?
you, or
Yeah, very, very much.
that was
very,
an amazing?
I both her and Todd Rundgren, they struck
Ooh.
the same place.
That's an interesting. They both came out close to
loved
as solo artists
they were-
about the
yeah.
same time.
Right. He has a song about her called Laura on his one of his
And it's
early
written in the style of Laura Nyro.
Yeah, it is. It is. I guess just like Carole King, she inspired me
As a writer or both, or performer.
as a sound.
Yeah, her
As a-
approach, it just seemed she was so creative and
Um,
expressive, it seemed to me.
I love her so much that what I immediately think of when I think of Laura Nyro is putting on a whole album.
Yeah.
Remember when you could put on a whole album
Yeah.
and just and you
She takes you somewhere and you want to be there. Yeah.
yeah, she seemed like she was discovered in an interesting way, so that other artists recorded her songs, and I would always stumble on her version of things and love them. Oh, and another thing that comes up when we talk about Laura Nyro is that, I don't know that I explained it, but my whole life, since I started loving Carole King early in high school, I was performing in piano bars at 12, at 13, at 14, at 15, at 16, at 17, at 18. And piano bars used to be a place where you think that the person would just play, standards or whatever, no problem. But I didn't do that. Even at Berkeley, I didn't do that much of the jazz standards.
Yeah.
So I would go to piano bars and sing all the singer-songwriter songs because I had taken the time to learn them all. And I would do like an entire album of hers or an entire album of Carole King because I'd listened that much.
Yeah.
Her piano playing, her rhythm,
Yeah.
and her soul. A lot.
Well,
Long
I'm thinking
answer.
about that era and how rich the musical activity was, and some of the writers who were young and very influential. Did you like Jimmy Webb?
Of course I love Jimmy Webb.
He's a pretty amazing
I
musician.
feel like I have a hybrid inside me
Yeah.
of Carl Urbanoff and Jimmy Webb and Carole King, and
Laura Nyro,
and that whole era of that sound.
Yeah. Well, now talking about Laura Nyro, I was thinking about how distinctive she was. She kind of came as an explosion, but when you think about the Fifth Dimension recording, Stone Soul Picnic, and Blood, Sweat, and Tears recording, and When I Die, she really did have success. Yes. Eli's Coming. Oh my God, amazing! So that was such an unusual choice for a rock band to cover.
Yes.
But that she was an unusual writer, but she had some big success as a writer.
That's right.
But when she sang her own songs, there was no question that nothing was for sale. Like, I mean, it was, she wasn't a writer who just was doing versions of her song. She was an artist, and it was interesting to think about Jimmy Webb, who was more known as a writer.
That's right.
But Laura Nyro really had an equivalent impact on the charts as a writer who got covered by very popular acts.
I went on to tour as a keyboard player for a lot of the acts of the 50s and 60s.
Oh, I wanted to talk to you about that.
Well, I played.
You were a keyboard music director? Tell us who some of those artists were that you worked for.
The Shangri-Las, the Coasters, the Drifters, the Platters.
I'm going to want to ask you some more questions about that.
Well, what happens often is that the same band would play the event, and we would band. Not so with the Platters. With the Platters, we were their own band, but I became part of a band that played for the Coasters, the Drifters, and the Marvelettes, the Shangri-Las. They had the same management, and so they would go on the extravaganza tours, and we would play for everybody, and a lot of those songs were Carole King songs, and
yes,
and
that's what I was going to ask: is did you find yourself appreciating the songs as you were playing them?
Yeah, like a good example is "Up on the Roof." I would just weep.
Oh, what a song!
I would weep.
What I know
from every aspect,
it is. It's incredible. It was with Jerry Goffin. Yeah, those were some amazing songs.
Right. So.
All right, here's a question for you. We both appreciate that kind of song and that kind of writing. Do you think Nashville, as a songwriting industry town, appreciates the Goffin and King, for example, as much as they appreciate Hank Williams and Merle Haggard? And I think there's a kind of a cultural divide, in my experience. But I'm not going to ask you to say anything. Okay,
so all I'm going to say is, I've lived here, for millions of years now, and when I went to the Carole King musical, Beautiful.
Yeah.
Which, was interesting experience. Everybody stands up at the end and sings "I Feel the Earth Move."
Yeah.
And I wanted to walk around to the audience and say, what are you doing like the other 364 days of the year? So they're here. And to be even more specific, there is a divide. There's a divide in the industry, but don't know that there's a divide in the listeners. When about 5 or 6 years ago, Carole King and James Taylor's tour came through here. Did you go to that?
No, I haven't seen it. They are quite a pair.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, they covered every base between them that we're talking about, right? And he's playing on her songs, and she's singing on his songs, and they have the band that was actually on Tapestry. All that stuff was, and the audience was transfixed, and they didn't all just move here in the last year like everybody else in the world. So the answer is, I think the world grew up with those songs, even if the culture of Nashville was predominantly country. Mm-hmm. The same person who likes the song "Crazy" also likes, "It Might As Well Rain Until September."
Yeah, or Irving Berlin. He did yeah. Now that Willie Nelson deserves credit for really crossing that bridge in a big way with that his swing covers.
But you know what the difference is? I mean, I come from Boston, so in my blood is pop singer-songwriter music. Mm-hmm. And I would say that the people here may love all those songs, but the people that are more naturally Southern, I think in their blood is Hank Williams.
That's a great point.
I spent a lot of time playing a lot of country music in New England, and I can do it, and I love it, but it wasn't in my blood. I learned it afterwards.
You know Peter Wolf?
Yes.
Now he's from Boston, right? Jay Giles, and he's a huge music fan, and he digs country and blues, and he was tuned into the Southern airwaves, literally. I mean, that's what he would check out the radio shows coming from West Virginia, and when he was. And he
a
would
lot
get
of people
inspired.
love kinds of music, but it's not the same as what they bleed.
Well, I can safely say that among songwriters, and there are lots of them, but as soon as you start talking about songs, then great songs are great songs.
Right.
And that's all there is to it. And there's not a lot of obvious homage to the Gershwin and the Irving Berlin and the Cole Porter and Johnny Mercer in Nashville, but anybody who's tuned into songwriting is not going to fight you about mentioning great songs. I mean, great songs that's what they are.
I recently watched an episode. We were talking about Live from Daryl's House. We talked about an episode where Todd Rundgren and Daryl Hall were exchanging songs, and everyone was better than the next. Also, I watched an episode of Todd Rundgren with us in front of a symphony. It was a rebroadcast, and he did every one of his hits in a row with the symphony, some of them, and with the acoustic piano. And those moments that were created by a great song, they're forever.
Great songs will do something to you. They sure will. God, that's great, Beth. All right, we're going to do a song of yours about a kind of a challenging neighborhood, I guess we could say.
Yeah. This song is called "The Hardest Part of Town," and something we write a lot about as songwriters is grieving, losing somebody. And when you drive through a certain section of town and you have a memory of someone, you can kind of avoid that part of town. So there was an actual part of town around here that reminded me of somebody who passed, and I would not drive through it because I didn't feel like going there and thinking about my memories. And eventually I crept closer to it and did drive through it. But I thought that it would be interesting to talk about grief in terms of a neighborhood that you don't feel like driving through. Anybody out there? Can you hear me when I call? Where's the edge I know's approaching? Who will catch me when I fall down here? Is the hardest part of town through, he's gone, and the healing's coming slow, and the feelings overflow in the hardest part of town. I can't make one decision, I can't reason anymore. And if my world were to crumble, would the answers just pour forth down here? Is the hardest part of town I've ever been through, he's gone, and the healing's coming slow, and the feelings overflow in the hardest part of town. I heard hopeful things from people, like healing happens, but decision. Can't reason anymore. If my world were to crumble, could it ever be restored? He's gone, and the healing's coming slow, and the feelings overflow in the hardest part of town, in the hardest part of town, in the hardest part of town, in the hardest part of town. How do they know?
Straighten up and find a right.
Now available, Come Out Swingin', the new CD by the Bryan Cumming Jazz Quartet. Come Out Swingin' is available at studio23nashville.com and all major digital retailers.
Sing, come out swinging.
Come Out Swingin' by the Bryan Cumming Jazz Quartet. Get yours today. All of us here at Studio 23 Nashville would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Visit Hickman County, the Hickman County Department of Tourism. World Music Nashville. Expedia Cruise Ship Centers, Nashville West. And the Law Office of Lavelle Glanton.
Welcome back to Studio 23 Nashville. I'm with Beth Sass, singer-songwriter, musician, and we're in a different part of the room because we have a different setup. This is the first time someone has brought in a keyboard, and it's a fine keyboard. What do you want to tell us about this thing that you're playing?
This is a Casio Pro line Privia, and its official name is the PX-5S. I first met this keyboard at the Summer NAMM show, where I'm already a Casio artist, so I watched the demo, and I was really impressed with how many layers it has, and I like to combine acoustic piano and strings and voices, and so I asked if this could be one of the keyboards that they supply me with, so they sent it to me, and it's so that's what we're using for this song.
So your relationship with Casio, is it sort of like you have access to anything that they make and they'll send it, or does it, I mean, how does that work?
The best way to say it is that Casio is really involved with the players that play their keyboards. So there's a dialogue. We're on a message board on Facebook, and there's a lot of interplay between the designers of these keyboards and the users of these keyboards. So
so you're one of the users giving them feedback on what you like and all that kind of stuff.
Asking questions and finding new applications. And this is one that's designed to go on the stage, and they like to know fun details after you've played with it and given them feedback. I've put a little sticker near the off and on switch because there's a lot of buttons on it, and
need to know that one. Yeah.
I'm thrilled with how the layers work here. That's what it does for me, since I'm into fat sounds.
And we're going to be using a layered acoustic piano, strings, and voices together on this song. And another thing that's convenient is that you don't even have to take the keyboard when you're flying a gig 2,000 miles
That's
away.
right.
You take a little thumb drive.
Yes, the sounds that and the setup that I've customized.
Yeah.
It does come loaded, but it comes loaded, and then you tweak it and you set up
Your
stage
own particular-
settings. That's what they call them. And once you've set up your system that works for you, you save it to a thumb drive. And yes, I just travel with the thumb drive, and they provide me with a keyboard where I'm going. The most recent example of that was in Los Angeles in June, and I was able to unwrap the keyboard and plug in my sounds and find them on.
And there you had it.
Yes.
That is so cool. All right, now we're about to play a song that you co-wrote with Walter Egan.
Yes, Walter is one of my. I'm going to say something funny. One of my musical husbands. He's going to love that. No, I respect Walter Egan's musicality immensely, and we've been writing for 3 or 4 years. We're about to release an album. It's going to be called Beth Sass with Walter Egan, because he had something to do with all the writing and the arranging and the recording. So yeah, he and I have written a song that's called Last Safe Place, and it's a song about I'm going to say it's about soulmates. The idea that you can't, I don't know if you've ever heard this before, you can't kill off a relationship that isn't dead, and you can't keep one alive that's supposed to be over. So sometimes when people divorce or break up, but they're not out of each other's lives, they're in this interesting, safe, gray area. They're a sad way to put it would be like a place saver, maybe, or a superficial way to think of it. But this is dedicated to that place you get to with someone where you're comfortable enough to to consider them a safe place.
Yeah, that is cool.
Post-commitment phase.
Now, Walter Egan has not been mentioned before. He's quite a guy with his own history.
Yes.
He's a kind of a paragon of rock and roll. I mean, he
Yes.
really grew up around New York, Washington, wasn't it? And and going to see Rolling Stones and Jimi Hendrix and lots of Led Zeppelin. I mean, he really absorbed. Then became an artist of his own,
Yes,
solo
he is.
rock guy, and became a VH1 host for a while.
Yes.
I mean, he's got a very and he's a painter.
Oh, he's an amazing painter. He actually painted the cover of several of his releases, which is nice.
And he's painted a series of rock icons.
Yes,
isn't it?
he has a show that's been mounted in more than one city of his favorite artists who've passed.
That's what it
Their
is.
portraits and their little sort of little honorings to each of those people that meant a lot to him. Yes, he's done a lot of work with female singer-songwriters.
I think it's
Magnet
worth
Steel.
mentioning that you and Walter and I have all worked at the Jam Camp.
Right, exactly.
We've taught teenagers how to find their inner rock self or whatever.
Yes, yes.
Or jazz or
That's where I met
singer-songwriter.
him. He was my daughter's songwriting teacher, and my daughter, who thought that we should meet
my
each other.
goodness.
She had a feeling, and we met and we talked about what we would do, and then we just launched in, and
Oh, that's great.
we've had a lot of success of like capturing stuff that neither one of us, I think, would have captured on our own.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I really like this song, and I like the way Walter sings with you in the recording that you let me hear, and I'm going to attempt to simulate a Walter Egan vocal part in my own humble way, right here at Studio 23 Nashville. Thank you, Beth. Let's get going.
Was all back before the fall, and it was your way, or it was my way, or no way at all. It's odd our lives still touch, even through so much familiarity breeds content, you see. It's something close to love. that draws us near. After all, we're only human. It feels familiar here, where we know what we're doing. Holding you tonight. All wrong, but all right. And it brings it face to face. You're my last safe place. You're my last safe place. You're my last safe place. You're my last safe place.
Hickman County, Tennessee. It feels a lot like home, or how home should feel. Come by, sit a spell. Soak in the goodness that inspired Minnie Pearl to write about this special place. Visit Hickman County, Tennessee's hidden treasure.
Straighten up and flatter right.
Now available, Come Out Swingin', the new CD by the Bryan Cumming Jazz Quartet. Come Out Swingin' is available at studio23nashville.com and all major digital retailers.
Say, come out swinging.
Come Out Swingin' by the Bryan Cumming Jazz Quartet. Get yours today.
Why don't we let people know where they can find your songs and your CDs and see what you're up to?
Okay, if you search on iTunes and all other digital outlets, all the releases are there.
Under your name, Beth Sass,
Yeah, Beth Sass.
S-A-S-S.
Yeah, Beth Sass.
Okay.
I have a Facebook page, that's Beth Sass Music. I have a Facebook user group, which is Beth Sass Singer-Songwriter user group, I guess. So you can find me on Facebook as Beth Sass Singer-Songwriter. Twitter, Beth Sass Music. SoundCloud. SoundCloud.com/Beth Sass Music. I love to put up lots of mixes and works in progress and get crowd reactions and sort of check out mixes and check out groupings. And that's where you can hear all the new stuff. And even after it's released, it's there as well. Yeah.
You teach piano and voice.
Yes,
and
I have a full roster of students.
do you get them together to perform?
Yes.
What's that like?
Yes. We have a show coming up, actually, of students. That's wonderful. That's the whole time where I take off my mentor and teacher. I teach kids of all ages. I have adults and I have seniors and I have babies. I have the whole gamut, and I teach them voice, piano, and songwriting. But once in a while, we gear up for a performance and we let them get a sense of how it feels to share it. And we try to make it fun, and we try to make their first few years of performing experience something that gives them a passionate platform as opposed to something that's stressful. So it's wonderful to do that. I've got one coming up.
Do you provide support, backing them up? Do you play behind them?
For my singers, I play, although all my singers must take piano, and all my pianists must sing, because I believe, as you asked me a million hours ago about the complexity of all the moving parts of the machine. So they're all at various stages. The little 3 and 4 year olds are learning how to play in front of people, and then they get a little older, they learn how to sing in front of people, and some of the singers move on to accompany themselves. And I do accompany a few, and it's a big mixed bag of all styles, and it's special. I'm a part of their lives. I'm a part of their families' lives. It's an important way of recirculating musical energy.
That is very cool. And it's worth saying that World Music Nashville is the store where you teach.
Yes.
It's the store where we've done our show with other artists from this show.
Yes.
And you heard it the other night and you liked it there. Is that where you do your shows with your students?
Yes, we do. We use the in-house performance space. Yeah. Yes, Danny Sanders has turned that place into an energized, friendly hotbed
a nerve center.
A nerve center in Bellevue, yes.
Of musical activity. It really is. It's extremely diverse.
And they've got a full multimedia setup in their back room. So that's you guys had a great show the other night.
That's
it was
a
very
perfect place to
inspiring.
play. I love it. I got inspired just by what they have to offer. You know, the lights, the sound, the stage, and
I'm looking forward to being in the next one of yours.
Well, I sure am glad that you are here right now, and I've brought the keyboard along with the piano and the great songs and the great talk about great songs.
Oh,
you know,
thank you.
It's so cool that here we are, and years ago we were getting inspired by Carole King and Laura Nyro and Todd Rundgren and these people that were just doing it.
I know.
And now we're doing it.
Right. I love that. I love that you're sharing that love with other people, and everybody feels special when they get to sort of talk about their influences and share it.
Well, it matters, you know. And there's so much about the Nashville music business that it's sort of like a game where you have to get through the slot, and if you don't get through the slot, then you didn't make it.
Right.
But suppose you've got something to offer that's really valuable, a lot of talent, a lot of songs, a lot of soul. I mean, I hate to see people not recognized when they.
Well, you become the slot.
Well, that's okay.
You become what it is that you.
Rather than accepting the particular rules of that game.
That's right. Yeah. No, exactly. I feel like I've come into my own musically, and I'm grateful to be here. Nashville's such a creative hotbed, and just being here is a nice summary of all of it. And thank you for helping me re-experience and talk about a lot of it.
No, I'm so glad
I look forward to
that
lots
we
more
could do
stuff.
this. You have a very special take on the whole process, and you're helping a lot of other people. Yeah. And you still are making very original, powerful songs on your own. Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm just getting started on certain levels. I also have invited millions of my friends, many friends to the Studio 23 page, and now they'll be watching and they'll become part of the process. And I have fans and followers literally internationally, and I've got dear friends that. They love it when these things come up, and it causes them to refocus and remember not just me, but all the other people that you'll be featuring here. So I'll share it with the Casio friends, sharing it with everybody in my life. So you guys are creating a really important resource.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I have a lot of hope for where it can go. I'm very glad to be involved. It's a lot of fun for all of us. Thank you so much. It's been a great pleasure to have Beth Sass with us here tonight, Studio 23 Nashville.